Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number... What? We can't go on. 346. Greetings, welcome, salutations, all that good stuff. I'm Ben, and with me here today are the beautiful boys from Down Under. Guys, you're both going to have Australian accents after this.
Oi, mate.
Starting with Dave. It's always so hard to pick. I don't want to pick favorite. Like, it's not a favorite thing. It's just I have to pick one of you. Hello, Dave.
Hey.
What's up, dude?
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, my body is in shock right now. I have a really good reason why. So since 2021...
Your body has me in shock, by the way.
Since 2021, I have been working from home at least 3 days a week. Suddenly last week, I work at a college, and colleges have unions. There's two or three different unions where I work, and one of them went on strike last week on Thursday. It wasn't sudden. We knew this was probably going to happen for a while. And so yeah, starting last Thursday, I was taken from my job that I currently do now, and I was redeployed to an area where that is in need because of the strike. And it just so happens that for me, I'm working in the test center now. And you cannot work remotely for the test center. So I've gone from working entirely at home, or mostly at home, for the past 4 years to commuting every day. And it's only been 4 days and my body is shutting down. And I'm fine with it. Like, I'm enjoying being on campus and stuff, but it's just like I'm really feeling it. I'm not even waking up that much earlier, but I just think the change in routine is working from home is making my body frail, you know? I think that's what's going on here. But that's how the hell I'm doing, Ben.
My body was frail. Wow, I don't know what just happened in there to prove my point, but my body has been frail for much longer than I've worked at home, but it hasn't happened any worse since I've been working from home. It's just always been bad.
Yeah, and I didn't anticipate this, but it's been an adjustment. And once you've worked remotely for longer than 4 years because you're doing what you're doing now, and then your previous job was remote and would have been before when you had the businesses, right? So if you have to suddenly go back to work, you might just spontaneously combust.
Wait, what are you talking about, Dave? I ran a business up until 2 years ago.
That was 2 years. Okay, I mean that's what I'm referring to, but I didn't know you stopped 2 years ago. I thought
Two
it was
and a
a lot
half.
longer than that. Okay.
Probably like 2.5.
My mistake.
And I was like the mayor of a town, and
Like I know you did those things, but I feel like it was a lot longer ago that you stopped doing them.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wrong, but it's fair.
I accept your apology. Yeah, so it's been weird, and I hate driving. The older I've gotten, the more I hate it. I love cars. I love motorsport. I hate driving. I hate sitting in traffic. I hate watching people text and drive and pay attention to everything except the 2.5 ton fucking piece of metal that they're driving at 100 kilometers an hour in the wrong direction. And I hate it all because phones have made us so stupid. Anyways, I'm going in a rant, but yeah. So hopefully I get used to it sooner rather than later. But I'm gonna take a sip of this right here, beer. How about that?
Okay.
I like it.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Bando, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful. I am in office Giga Chad and always have been. It's misery either way, so it doesn't matter what you do, but I'm doing great. I just made homemade tomato soup with my family, and it was absolutely delightful. Absolutely delightful. Probably the best tomato soup I've ever had. Bar
Nice.
none. Yeah, it was, and it was so simple too, boys. It's funny that the simplest things, as far as cooking goes, can sometimes be the best.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
I think what tomato soup, like the recipe is you just mash up tomatoes and pour water in it, and that's like you're good.
Yeah. So like we broiled in the oven, like 3 pounds.
Seems like a lot of work. I don't know.
3 pounds of tomatoes, onions, and garlic. Covered them in olive oil, salt and pepper, garlic powder. Let them broil for maybe like 50 or 60 minutes. Get some flavor on them, some bitches.
Mm-hmm.
Busted out the immersion blender. Added chicken stock. Let that bitch simmer for a bit. Oh my god! And we made grilled cheese as well.
Oh,
A nice Gouda mozzarella mixture.
oh,
It
of
was
sourdough.
We used artisan bread, so it was
Okay.
very soft, but it was not sourdough. Sourdough would be just as good, but this wasn't no white bread. You know what I mean? This wasn't just run of the mill. So I had a divine, almost sexual experience with soup today, so I'm pretty good.
Brandon, this won't mean much to anybody else, but I'm asking because I know your family. When you say you made dinner with your family, who was involved in the soup making?
Me, my brother, and his girlfriend.
Okay,
Yeah, it was just us. We did all of it.
that's cool. I was thinking like your dad was there broiling
hell
some stuff.
no.
I thought that'd be the wildest.
No, yeah, he doesn't do that.
No, I didn't think so.
He knows how to work the microwave, kind of.
Yeah, your mom is good to him, so he doesn't have to know how.
Yeah, too good.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Too good. But yeah, I'm doing really good. I don't like to just come on here and talk about food, but food is such a meaningful part of my life, and I usually eat dinner right before I do this. So I've noticed that a lot of the times I come on here and talk about food, but this was an extra special experience that was exceptional, and so I feel like I had to kind of highlight this about my day.
I think that's fair. I mean, we talk about the things we love, right? So
Yeah.
Dave loves not working remotely, and Brandon loves tomato soup. So
Can I ask you a question, both
Yeah.
of y'all?
Yeah.
What time do you guys, Brandon? What time do you normally eat dinner each day?
When probably like 5 or 6.
Ben?
it really very strongly depends on what I'm doing. I used to eat a little later, and now it got to the point where my wife was just like, "Do you want me to cook food for you? Because if you do, I'm eating at 6." I was like, "Sure." So now she'll either actually very kindly bring me food while I'm still working, or I'll pop down and hang out, and then if I have to keep working, I'll come back to my office.
Being in an interracial relationship, I learned pretty early that the whites generally eat what we call supper.
Yeah.
Which is, in my wife's eyes and a lot of other people, it's way too early.
Yeah.
And she's used to eating at like 7, 8 o'clock at night at the earliest.
Yeah. I prefer to eat at like 8 o'clock.
Right.
But if I want to eat, my wife is kind enough that she makes all our food. If I want to eat when the food is hot, or I want to eat with my family, because my family goes to bed, like my wife and kids go to bed between like 8:30 and 9.
Right.
So if I want to see them and eat with them and eat hot food, I tend to have to go eat a little earlier.
Well, how does that work then, David? Is it so lunch is noon? Is that kind of is that kind of like agreed upon?
No. So that's the thing, is everything's kind of pushed. So lunch is later in the
like
day.
1 or 2 o'clock?
Yeah. And then dinner is like, now it's different since we had our daughter because she has to go to bed and we just now eat with her. But generally speaking, dinner happens again 7, 8 o'clock. So everything just kind of moves.
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe it is, but I'm not sure if that's a racial or cultural thing. Like my family eats pretty late in the day. Like my like childhood family, my parents and my sister, like we always ate later in the day. My wife's family was in bed by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think it's more about like who you are and what you do, and that leads to those kinds of things.
Your nuclear family.
Well, my nuclear family right now would be my wife and kids, but my childhood nuclear family, I guess you could say, nuclear.
Well, see, I try to not eat before 3 hours before bed. So if I ate at 7 or 8 o'clock, that just I couldn't do it. I'd have heartburn all night. I'm getting older.
You don't go to bed at 11 o'clock.
I do when I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Now you do, I guess.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're like, I gotta go to bed by 1 if I gotta get up at 4.
Wow.
I haven't done that in a decade. Okay.
Well, welcome to the HP Podcast. This is a show about, I guess, interracial marriages and video games.
I love that.
I was gonna make another joke, but I'm afraid of it, so I'm not going to.
We're live.
This is so if anybody notices anything weird or anything in this week's show, or just different, we're using a different software, and I'm like, my screens look all entirely different. We're using we used to use StreamYard, which doubled their prices, and our subscription was up, and I said we're not doing that. The train is going to go by and annoy me because it only goes by when I'm talking. We're using a combination of Video Ninja, some plugins I found, and Meld Studio, which is like OBS but newer and nicer and sleeker. And then streaming directly to YouTube instead of StreamYard streaming it for us. So the setup is a little bit more different, or is a little different and a little more complicated and a little bit less low tech. Like we don't have, the nice banners like we used to. We'll figure something out, but we had to act quickly. So if you notice anything weird, that's why. Or it could be because Brandon has tomato farts. I don't know.
True.
Either way.
True.
But we're very pleased to have you here this week and every week. And if you want to help support us, which we would appreciate pretty greatly, actually, you can do so on what's going on here. Why can't I? Oh, there we go. I have a little banner. It's not a nice banner, but it's a banner.
Hey.
You can do that over at patreon.com/handsomephantom, where a couple dozen of you do that for as little as $1 a month. I think there's almost no one actually at the $1 a month level. I think everybody's at the $5 level, but you can do it at the $1 a month level. It's totally fine. We appreciate it. If you're an audio listener, you get ad-free early access to the show, which I'm just now realizing I no longer have a solution for. I have to figure out a solution for recording the audio. I'll just rip it off the YouTube video tonight, but I didn't build that into my workflow, so it'll be there tomorrow. Don't worry. Also, you just make us happy and help us out a lot. Appreciate it. You can also hang out with us on our Discord channel over at handsomephantom.com/discord, where we just talk about nonsense most of the time, but it almost always revolves around video games. Almost always. So thanks for being here. If there's any technical difficulties, we appreciate you dealing with it. But I think, I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse, but I think we're doing okay here.
You said we appreciate you dealing with it.
Yeah, we appreciate people dealing with our.
Oh, okay.
If we have any technical difficulties.
If something goes wrong, figure it the fuck out. Leave us alone.
I mean, that's acceptable too to me. But I mean, that is kind of what I'm saying. We appreciate you dealing with any dropped balls on our end, for sure. Yeah. Let's talk about video games. I gotta find the right browser window here. Okay. The first story is about, guess what? FarCry, the subject everyone demands that we talk about all the time. This comes from videogameschronicle.com. It says Ubisoft has confirmed it intends to more prominently integrate multiplayer into future installments of Far Cry. Speaking on stage, Yves Guillemot was asked about the future of the shooter series, which recently fell under the control of a new Tencent-backed subsidiary. According to him, the goal on Far Cry is really to bring the multiplayer aspects more predominantly pushed so that it can be played for a long time by players. The exec's comments potentially corroborate press reports from 2023, which claimed that Ubisoft was developing Far Cry 7 and a standalone Far Cry multiplayer game. It was claimed at the time that Far Cry 7 was being made with the Snowdrop engine, rather than the Dunia engine used for recent series entries. The multiplayer game was described as an action-based shooter set in the Alaskan wilderness. Now, Far Cry 6 did include online campaign co-op, but didn't have like a competitive multiplayer component. Dave, I want to throw this to you. We all have played some level of Far Cry, and I think Brandon's actually played a lot. But you're the Ubisoft shill, and I want to hear what you have to say about this.
Okay, I got to say something first before we get into this. Little inside baseball for the listeners here. We have a selection of news stories that is curated throughout the week. And, it's a collaboration between everybody, except it isn't because it's all me.
Yeah.
And the thing is
it used to be all me, and then I gave it to Dave to do.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. I don't want any part of this argument.
It's my job now, and I recently was voluntold about this, and it's caused me crippling anxiety because I often have to pick news stories where I'm like, they're going to make fun of me for picking this, and they're not going to suggest something else. They're just going to make a snide comment because it's, there's usually something Ubisoft in the news because they're one of the biggest publishers in the world, but, I'm the shill. So when this one came up, I said, "Hey,
being a Ubisoft shill extends far past you picking out the news stories." And the second thing is, the only time I've ever made fun of anyone for picking a news story was when Brandon picked a news story from 6 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago. All right,
Ben,
when he picked a news story that had expired a month beforehand.
20 minutes before the show, you were horrible to me in the Discord. You posted a GIF of a dog throwing up. Okay,
I did do that.
Yeah. So,
but it had nothing to do with the selections you made.
Anyways, so yeah, Far Cry. We're all big fans. And I think I just need to call this what it is. This is definitely going to be, this is an opportunity for Ubisoft and Tencent now to better monetize one of the biggest IPs in the company's portfolio. So that's just what it is. But I think there might be an opportunity here because I think we can all agree that the Far Cry series has gone a little bit stale. Far Cry 6 was, by all accounts, pretty disappointing. And I think that's just because of the direction they went with a lot of little things, but also because, it's in need of some rejuvenation. And I do think that Far Cry could actually work really well in what I assume will be like a games as a service type direction that they're going to go with this. And I kind of reflected a little bit on the series, and I know Far Cry games have had some multiplayer aspects to them, but by and large, they've kind of like left that behind and really focused on building a really cool single player open world experiences, which again, they can build off that, but I think the time is right for them to try and go in a different direction in some respects. So I do think this could actually work, and I am intrigued to see where they go with this, because I'm eager to kind of get back into Far Cry, and whether it's competitive or PvE kind of stuff, whatever it might be. I think this is probably the perfect franchise for Ubisoft to try and sort of somewhat move in the direction. They just need to be sure that they're careful that they don't go too far in the monetization of the franchise. But I think this could work really well. So I'm excited to see what happens with this for sure.
Brandon, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I don't think I've played quite as much Far Cry as Dave has. I played
Because he's a shill.
all of 5 and 6. And I think the multiplayer in those are great. I agree with Dave. They have done like a much larger push in Far Cry 6 specifically with the multiplayer. I had very limited experience with it, and it felt kind of non-realized in Far Cry 6. But I knew they were trying, right? And so if they have a more focused approach with the next game, I think that'd be really awesome. I think these games shine in multiplayer. I am more interested personally in a Far Cry that's a PvE experience with multiplayer than a PvP experience. I think that whenever you get into the realm of PvP and you start looking at shooters, there's so many players in this category that I feel like I hope they really focus on the PvE, even if it does, get some of the things like the cosmetics, and even games like 5 and 6 had this. But yeah, I mean, this is good as long as they don't lean too heavily into the fuckery that we currently have with a lot of the modern shooters. So I like what they're doing with it, and I hope it doesn't kind of tip the scale. I know Dave mentioned that Far Cry 6 was kind of a dud for a lot of people. I agree with that thoroughly. Far Cry 5 was one of my favorite games of the PS4 generation. Easily, it had an amazing DLC. And then 6 just kind of felt like a little bit of a letdown. I still did enjoy it quite a bit. But yeah, these games fit really well for multiplayer, and I'm hoping that they focus in on the PvE. That's really what I want from it. But I'm a little bit concerned, truthfully, with how these sort of things go nowadays. Not just because it's Ubisoft, but because that's the landscape. I hope they don't tip the scale too far in the offensive direction of the multiplayer shooter genre. I like the kind of happy medium that they were balancing on. I think it could be a little bit more fleshed out than it was in 6, but time will tell. So I'm definitely raring for a new Far Cry, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I don't think that I have a lot of valuable feedback here on Far Cry because I haven't played Far Cry since Far Cry 4, and I don't think I finished it. But I'm always down for games with co-op or like the ability to play multiplayer. And I love multiplayer games, but like that's not what Far Cry's ever been. It's not any kind of competitive or PvP at all. Did I read and not even realize it? Did Guillemot say this was going to be more competitive, or did he just say more focused on multiplayer?
But it's kind of implied here in the article, the campaign co-op, but didn't have a competitive multiplayer component. So
yeah, I mean, that's what they say, but they don't quote anybody for saying that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's a direct quote, but I could easily see, and there were some elements of PvP, if I'm remembering correctly, in 6. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they saw, the money in the bag with some of these other guys and don't want to try and at least scoop up a little bit of that. I just hope it isn't too much, because it's not an easy fish to catch.
You just used like multiple phrases that threw me off a little bit. Money in the bag, catching fish. It's pretty good. Anything more on this topic that Dave only wanted to talk about?
Dude, I love Ubi, man, or fucking Far Cry, man. Stop busting Dave's balls.
I wasn't before he said something about it. Now I am. If I'm going to get blamed for it, I might as well do it.
The setting that they mentioned of Alaska, I think, would be really cool too.
That would be unique.
I think the setting, much like the Assassin's Creed series, is one of the biggest selling points. But I think Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, and Far Cry 6 were kind of samey. And my issue with 5 was it came out the same time as Days Gone, and I could only do one of those games at a time. But I think Alaska would be a really cool departure, so I'm also excited for that. If that how it shakes out. So
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be so different.
All right, let's talk about Sony's financial report. This story came to us by Twisted Voxel. And it says Sony Group has omitted mention of game revenue beyond console as a strategically emphasized indicator from its corporate report this year. In its corporate report for 2025, Sony Group altered the framing of priorities for its game and network business. Game revenue beyond console was previously listed as one of SIE's strategically emphasized indicators, indicating the company's intent to grow its footprint on platforms outside of the PlayStation console ecosystem, primarily PC and mobile. This year, however, the metric has been omitted. Instead, non-console efforts have been folded into the broader platform business strategy under the goal of continued expansion of user base and multi-device ecosystem. The language suggests that Sony still sees value in reaching players beyond PlayStation hardware, but the decision to no longer track game revenue beyond console as a strategically emphasized indicator raises questions about how aggressively the company intends to pursue that growth. Then they break it down a little more. On one hand, the omission might indicate a softening of focus on PC and mobile. On the other hand, this change could simply be a matter of presentation rather than a pivot in strategy. So I don't really care about Sony's financial report, but I want to just talk about this subject of Sony, who has been, well, between Microsoft and Xbox, definitely the most resistant, but if you throw in Nintendo, one of them more amenable to it. But they've not really been like gung-ho on putting their stuff on other consoles. But it seems to be working out with a few things, definitely on PC, definitely with Helldivers on Xbox. And this is something, again, we talk about all the time because Dave's obsessed with it. Clearly, that's the reason. Now I'm going to just like continually bust your balls about every news story. Yeah, you did this to yourself.
Oh my God, bro.
But Brandon, I want to hear what you think about, Sony expanding past it. And then if you have any thoughts on why they may have not included it on the report. Obviously, none of the three of us are like experts in financial reporting, but
Now, when we first talked about this and you read it, what first came to mind is that is it possible that they're doing well enough that they don't want to necessarily let the cat out of the bag? It shows a weakening of the brand if they are selling a significant amount on other platforms.
I think it's possible, but I don't think corporate strategies shift that dramatically within a 1 year period.
It has been successful for everybody in the space, regardless of who's putting their games on other platforms. We know that it has been successful for companies like Xbox. So, assumedly, with good IP that Sony has, it's been successful for them as well. I would imagine this might just be reading into nothing, to be honest with you. It's probably typical, just folding things into each other. Someone came up with something in a board meeting to kind of make it easier on a department to kind of fold a couple into each other. I don't really know, though. That was my best guess, was that maybe being less transparent would probably make the brands seem stronger. I mean, when you fold categories in on each other, bigger numbers always look better on financial reports. So less categories, as long as you don't have too little, might be good in that way.
Davey, what you thinking?
I couldn't help but feel like maybe this could be the relics of Jim Ryan slowly fading away, or I called it Jim Ryan Vision is History. I know it's a stretch there.
I love that.
But game revenue beyond console. The other thing that came to mind was other media types. So obviously Sony had a bit of a push with some silver screen stuff, some movies. We had Gran Turismo, The Last of Us. So I'm not sure if that kind of falls under this umbrella as well. But in any case, I do think that there probably is a bit of a, and I'll use the word pivot, when it comes to the strategy over a 5-year period, which is what I'm assuming Sony looks at this stuff as. And I think it probably has a lot to do with moving away from what Jim Ryan's grand plan. Now, as you mentioned, Brandon, we're seeing this happen across the industry, and we're seeing it primarily from Microsoft breaking down hardware barriers to ensure that their ecosystem is accessible anywhere. But I don't think Sony needs to pursue this strategy. Like, I get it's becoming the norm, but it's becoming the norm from some of the biggest players because it makes sense for where their business is at this point in time. They mentioned KPIs in the article of hardware sales, monthly active users, and total gameplay hours. Those are their KPIs. And I think those three being highlighted in particular, it's kind of telling in terms of, what their focus really needs to be. Monthly active users, I think that's the games as a service piece really kind of plays into that strategy. But I think they can hit all three of those ones on their own hardware. And, we started to get some leaks about what next generation is going to look like for PlayStation. And I think Sony would be just fine selling the strategy to their stakeholders in their own ecosystem. I think being on PC helps them. I think Helldivers being on Xbox is cool, but they have such an install base in the console market that I don't think they need to kind of pursue this aggressively. I like that they're kind of experimenting, but I think that they could push ahead with what they do best, which is putting solid, compelling software on their own hardware and giving us a reason to buy that box. I know those days are going to disappear soon, but I hope it's not in the next few years. So I think Sony's strategy can continue to work, and I don't think they really need to pursue this breaking down walls. Microsoft, they need to, but Sony, I don't think they need to.
I think you're probably right in that they don't need to. But if you're, and I'm just thinking out loud, if you're a corporate entity trying to best please your shareholders, more money would seem to like be the move.
Well, couldn't you maximize your profits in your own ecosystem on your own hardware?
Of course you could. Mm-hmm. And it's not a question of whether they can, because we know they can. It's a matter of, like, if you say to me, like, I'm going to maximize my profits in my ecosystem, and I say, cool, that's really good. I'm glad to hear it as a shareholder or someone who's invested in your business. And then you say, but I'm not going to take the opportunity to make more money somewhere else. I'm like, but why? I always want more money if I'm making some money, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the strat, obviously.
Yeah.
I do tend to agree with the article where they said that it could just be that they classified it differently or whatever. I don't think they've stopped their push, right? Like, unless Helldivers was that release on Xbox was established a year ago, and it very well could have been, it's hard for me to believe they shifted this quickly to not want to make money elsewhere. I don't know.
I have to put together a presentation at work every 2 weeks for C-suite level employees, and in an effort to make things look different, I hope nobody's listening that works with me.
Nobody's listening at all. So.
Sometimes you just move stuff, and reword stuff. So this could just be a case of, well, we have to make it look somewhat different for the shareholders. So,
right, exactly.
But it's always fun to try and figure out what Sony's thinking.
Yeah. Let's move on ahead to our next story. This comes from the PlayStation blog, and it says a new PS5 system update will add DualSense wireless controller pairing across multiple devices. This is going to start rolling out today, actually. You may not get it right away, but it's rolling out. Many PS5 peripherals, including the DualSense wireless controller, are designed to support a variety of devices beyond PS5, including PC, Mac, and mobile devices. We believe enabling compatibility of our peripherals across multiple platforms creates a more... getting all choked up thinking about Sony. Creates a more flexible and seamless gaming environment. As part of this effort, we're excited to announce that the latest PS5 system update will add a new feature that allows DualSense wireless controllers and DualSense Edge wireless controllers to be paired across multiple devices simultaneously. making it easier to switch between them without needing to pair each time. Additionally, we're also sharing details on Power Saver for Games, a new mode that enables supported PS5 games to run with low power consumption and reduce environmental impact. The updates will be rolling out globally starting tomorrow. This was a while ago. Here are the details of each features, and it goes in and it lists the details of each feature. Basically, with the DualSense wireless controller and the handheld controller, you can now register up to 4 devices simultaneously and easily switch between them directly from your controller. For example, you can take your controller, which you use with your PS5, then seamlessly switch connection to a PC to play PC games, or connect it to a smartphone to enjoy remote play from your PS5. With this enhanced flexibility, you can enjoy gaming more freely across multiple devices. And then the Power Saver, there's an update on this article too that says users can enable the Power Saver options. Future updates for games such as Death Stranding 2, Demon's Souls, Ghost of Yotei will include support for the Power Saver option with more titles to follow. But basically, you notice a new option in your settings called Power Saver, and when you turn it on, supported PS5 games will scale back performance. They put a couple little asterisks there and said Sony Group commits to reach net zero greenhouse gas emission across the value chain by fiscal year 40 from a fiscal year 18 base year. That's a long time. I mean, it takes a long time. But so, boys, I wanted to see what you think about this. Do you care about how much power, if you just want a game, do you care about how much power your console is using, and do you want to play in a lower performance mode for the first thing? And then also, what do you think about this controller pairing across things? My first thought when I saw this a couple days ago was, well, I don't have 2 PS5s, but if I did, I don't want me hitting the button and it turning both of them on. But that doesn't seem to be what it does. It seems to be able to control specific devices. So, Brandon, what do you think about both of these updates?
Yeah, no, I think this is great. As far as the controller pairing goes, I think anything to make Sony's hardware more accessible for people and easier for people to use outside of their ecosystem. I think this is literally just a win for Sony. A way to potentially draw more customers into buying their controllers specifically. To me, it's a no-brainer that the DS5 is a more comfortable and better controller than the Xbox Series X controller, which I have. I prefer it greatly, and that's after using the Series X controller extensively. But yeah, I think this is a great, nice, user-friendly way, and something, people that do have, maybe somebody that upgraded to the Pro and still has the PS5 sitting somewhere in their house, maybe their kid has it, the ability to be able to switch back and forth, seamlessly from these different and multiple platforms is really great, especially for someone like me who has multiple platforms. As far as the Power Saver mode goes, there are very few things that I make exceptions on in life, like the air conditioning. I keep my house at 68 all year long, whether that's the heat or the AC, and that's just the temperature it stays, no matter what. I don't care how much it costs. That's how the temperature it stays. Video games is another thing. Even though I respect the push towards being environmentally friendly, and I think it's a noble pursuit, I don't think me running Ghost of Yotei in a downclocked PS5 is gonna really do a whole lot for the environment when we have people taking private jets an hour away and putting hundreds of thousands of chemicals into the ecosystem to go get a latte or to fly to Paris to get a baguette or something like Kim Kardashian. So I'm not trying to make a broad general statement. I think it's a good effort and I love the idea of it. I just won't be participating for one reason. I don't really think my individual contribution is going to help that much. And two, I certainly am not going to do it from a technical standpoint. I don't want my games to run worse ever. So,
Dave, you're up there in socialist Canada. Do you think they're going to enforce making everybody use power?
Justin.
Justin's gone. He's dating Katy Perry now, apparently.
He's still gonna he's still gonna make everyone.
High Chancellor Carney's in charge now, and High Chancellor Carney says you can play whatever performance mode you want. Do you guys remember Folding at Home? The
Vaguely.
PS3.
I don't.
It was like this thing where you could like, it was Ben. Was it like crowdsourced processing power or something like that?
I don't remember exactly what it was. I remember it existing, and I had no interest in it at the time.
It was, I don't know, cloud computing, some early form of that, and you could enable it on your PS3, and it would like help something, and I don't know, look it up. Anyways, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a cool option. It sounds good when Sony does its presentations that we just mentioned, and they can say how eco-friendly they're being or attempting to be to their stakeholders. But at the end of the day, who's going to use this? Because it's at the expense of your performance, right? So I'm with you, Brandon. I'm not interested in this. The DualSense thing though is kind of cool. I don't think this change is really groundbreaking, but I've kind of been experimenting with this a little bit more in the past little while. So when Destiny Rising came out, I connected my DualSense to my phone for the first time. And, I knew you could do that sort of thing with, Microsoft products, but I'd never actually done it with a DualSense. And it felt really good. Obviously, I've switched to the GameSir now, and that's superior. But I did think it was really cool that I was using my DualSense on something other than my PlayStation. And I've made a point to attempt to do this with the Xbox Cloud Gaming app on my TV. So, have my Xbox controller on my TV upstairs and play through the Cloud Gaming app to kind of see how that is. But yeah, I think that in the article they kind of go through how you can switch through the different devices. I personally don't have a use case for this because I really only have my DualSense connected to my PS5. But I think in a handful of years, this might be more common. People switching from their DualSense to their console, to their smart TV, to maybe their phone, because we know Sony's trying to, push to more mobile devices too. So, this might not seem like a big thing now, but these kind of features will be probably desperately needed and taken for granted in the near future. So I think this is cool, and I think it kind of goes back to the previous article again, where we talk about how Sony is trying to, potentially break down barriers a little bit when it comes to using their software on different devices. So yeah, I like this. This is neat.
Yeah, the talk about the mobile gaming with a controller. I mean, obviously we know mobile gaming is huge, and more games are being played with controllers on phones and iPads and stuff like that than ever before. I was thinking about it in that exact same light of Destiny Rising, Dave. I'm still using an Xbox controller. What?
I'm
just laughing at how this show is slowly becoming such a mobile positive podcast, whereas before we're like, fuck mobile.
No, I still hate mobile, but I love that. I love Destiny Rising. So.
For now, I'm holding out. Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys can fight all you want. I'm fuck mobile.
But it is interesting when you're seeing like full price games, $60 games being released on mobile, that, if you are someone who takes public transit every day, or you're flying a lot, or you're just like at a cabin in the woods and you want to play, like, it's a good option. It's not my preferred option by any means at all. But I'm more against the gacha games, I say, as I'm obsessed with Destiny Rising, but it is what it is.
Disgusting. I
think it's cool. I don't care about the power saving thing. I respect that they're doing it. It's an option for people who want it. It's not an option for me. I'm running like, 3 monitors, a TV, and a console all at the same time, just for fun, just because I can. So why not destroy the environment?
American, okay. That's why.
You're revving your engine in your driveway on Earth Day. Yeah.
I have
I keep every light on my house on all the time. It's LED bulbs. Who cares?
No, I obviously do have a sensitivity for environmental impact, but I totally agree with Brandon that, like, why would I decrease my enjoyment of something I paid thousands of dollars for in order to save a couple emissions,
Right.
whatever they're measured in. Anyway, aside from that, the pairing thing is cool. There is nothing more annoying than trying to pair your controller to a new device, especially Nintendo, which this isn't about Nintendo, but those are incredibly annoying to do. I don't have a lot of devices I would use a DualSense on. I mean, I'm sitting here with it at my PC, but I have my PlayStation right next to my PC. And I have, I don't know, way too many controllers overall, both Xbox and PlayStation. I don't even know how I ended up with so many, because I think I've only ever bought the ones that came with the consoles, and I've just maybe one other collector's edition or something, and over time I've just gathered controllers somehow. So I'm not stealing them. I don't know how they keep getting into my house. So, it is what it is, as some would say. But yeah, I think it's cool. It's a cool thing. It's a cool option for people who want it. And again, if you don't care about either of these things, then don't worry about it. Don't invest your energy into it. Let's move on. Let's talk about Silksong being mean to everybody. This comes from thisweekinvideogames.com. Says, Silksong release date surprise was, quote, a little callous, says the Hell Is Us lead. Hell Is Us creative director has spoken about Rogue Factor's experience in releasing its debut game on the same day as Hollow Knight Silksong, sharing the studio's response to Team Cherry announcing the September 4th release date just 2 weeks ahead of time. In an episode of Friends Per Second podcast, he remarked, when you know you're that big, I think a shadow drop is a bit like, wow. As the GTA 6 of indie, to shadow drop something like this is a little callous. He caveated his comments by saying that Team Cherry were allowed to do what they did. There's no laws or rules against that. We decided to keep the date, and I'm happy we did. We're still much bigger than some of the smaller ones who would have gotten a lot more affected and who decided to change their dates. Changing the date of Hell of Us would have been a pretty big endeavor. In the wake of Team Cherry's release date trailer, several indie developers announced last-minute delays to their titles to avoid the potential impact Silksong could have on their commercial performance. They included Devolver Digital's Baby Steps, roguelike Clover Pit, and RPG Demon School. He recalled the day that Silksong release date trailer dropped. We all jumped on our phones really quickly with our publisher and all sorts of things like that, he said, saying the day was spent on a lot of emails and texts and messages back and forth between a lot of people, between us and our publisher. It was a real thing, et cetera, et cetera. The real pain in the ass is that you have to refund your pre-orders when you do that. That's the real, how are you going to do this? Now you need to rebuild them. We didn't say, oh my God, we have to do it because we can't because of that. We were like, no, I think we can get through this storm. I wanted to talk a little bit about, one, was this callous? And two, did it actually have an effect? And I have some personal experience, some real life work experience. But I also just want to hear your guys' thoughts. Dave, we'll go to you first.
I can understand why this point of view can sound very sore loserish. But I have to say I 100% sympathize with this point of view from the Hell Is Us team. I also want to say that they, or whoever they worked with from a PR perspective, did an amazing job at getting eyes on this game the week before. There were a lot of big streamers that I saw playing Hell Is Us well in advance of, everybody's intention being put onto Silksong. So kudos to them for making that effort. That was probably planned before the Silksong thing happened, but in any case, they had eyes on their game before Silksong sort of took over the spotlight. It was kind of a meme for a long time in the indie dev community on socials about, what Silksong was going to do to the industry when it finally launched. And I do not think that Team Cherry was oblivious to these kind of memes and this sentiment that, it was going to kind of break the internet. So for them to announce their launch with such a short window between the announcement and when, so it wasn't quite a shadow drop, but it was pretty close to being that, I think was pretty callous. And it was, I don't know. I don't know what they stand to gain from such a short promotional window. I don't think they needed it. They had the wish lists that kind of broke records, and millions of people are going to buy and play their game. So I don't know that they necessarily needed to kind of have a long promotional window, but in any case, I don't know what they stood to benefit from having such a short promotional window other than fucking people, because it was such a joke leading up to it, and then they did it, and it put a lot of people in a really shitty spot. So I do agree that this was not a cool move, and for me, this is such a subjective thing, but for me, it puts kind of a shitty light on a developer that I otherwise had a really good kind of perception on, and I don't know, it wasn't cool. And Team Cherry owed nothing to the industry. All they owed was to put a really good sequel out, and they did that. But I don't know. I can't help but kind of empathize with this perception here. And Ben, you work closely with people in this situation on a daily basis, so I can't imagine what you might have heard. But again, they stood to gain nothing from shadow dropping this game other than to fuck people. And I don't think that was what they intended to do, but I just don't understand how they couldn't be oblivious to that fact. So I think this was a shitty move, and it was callous is a perfect way to put it. So
Do you think, so just to clarify your language, is this shadow drop?
So when I hear shadow drop, I think out out now or within the next couple of days. Whereas with Silksong, they announced the release date like a month ahead of time. It was something like that.
It was like 3 weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, it was really really short. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my interpretation. So again, not quite shadow drop, but pretty close.
Brandon, take a shot first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much profound to say about this. I can empathize with this studio kind of being upset about this. I get why they might feel bad, especially with a game like that and their team not being the biggest. It sounds like pushing back your release date is a huge pain in the ass, especially when you have pre-orders considered. And so ultimately, I do think they made the best decision, and they obviously were confident about their product, and it kind of showed in the way they proceeded forward with this. They didn't really think they needed the extra berth around another big title. I would get why they'd be upset. I guess that's all I have to say about it is I understand. I don't know that Team Cherry needed to really pay much attention to anyone else. So they have every right to, like they said in the article here, but I would understand why Hell Is Us developers would feel jaded.
Yeah. Yeah, so I get it from if you're releasing like another Metroidvania during that week or something like that, that's pretty rough and you already have it planned. But I want to go through how to market a game, which is a resource I use pretty frequently. And this is a public article. Anybody can check it out. It's called How Much Should We Freak Out About Silksong? And this came out on September the 3rd. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, obviously. I just want to pull out some high points from it. As Dave said, Hollow Knight owed nobody anything. They gave 2-3 weeks notice. It does suck for the people who were during that time, but the week that they released, other than the Steam summer sale and October Next Fest, was the week in the year with the lowest amount of game releases on Steam. I don't know that that's why they picked it, but if they did look at that, they knew that like we're screwing the least amount of people during this time, and they probably could have released during the summer sale or Next Fest and still done just as well. But so of the potential people they hurt, it was the least amount. The second thing is that the most people, because it was a week with so few launches, if you weren't interested in Silksong, there were very few other games for you to choose from. So if there was another game that was coming out, the sales of them didn't really get affected because there were so few other games coming out that week that people still like were looking for a game to buy if they were thinking about it. An interesting point they put out there was games that, and I saw this as a follow-up. This is not in this original article. Games that ended up keeping their release dates sold better than those who moved their release date by a week. And of course, with the big pre-orders and stuff like that, you can't really do that. But with indie games, you can move your date a little easily. I think it's something like 40% of games don't announce their release date until, and I'm talking all games, not AAAs and whatever, don't announce their release date until like less than a month beforehand. Again, not AAA games, not even AA games most of the time, but like of games that come out, they don't announce their release date until a little bit before. Then they go and talk about how the people who rescheduled, didn't do as well. But then they talked about the people who chose to keep the date ended up, the ones who made like social media posts about it, a lot of them got a huge boost in their wish lists because they got picked up by news articles, they made viral posts, whatever. Of course, none of this has anything to do with Silksong except for the fact that that's what they were combating against, right? And then they talk about the way that players interact with games. Most people buy a game, but they don't actually mean to play it that very moment. So just because your game comes out at the same time doesn't mean they're not going to still buy it. More players is more potential buyers. The actual number of players that play, like when Starfield came out and had like 1 million or something concurrents, whatever, it was something crazy. Maybe it wasn't 1 million. That still, of all the people playing games on Steam, only ended up being like 3% of gamers on Steam at any given time during that concurrent. So there's a lot of reasons why like it probably doesn't actually affect your sales and you shouldn't move a release date because of it. We're talking very heavy like game strategy stuff. And again, I'm not revealing anything that's not in this publicly available article here. I did have some conversations about it with developers, but nothing crazy. But with that said, just because it doesn't actually impact you can't obviously you can't run two scenarios and have them both play out and see what would have actually happened. But just let's say it didn't affect any performance. Just because it didn't affect any performance doesn't mean that it wasn't callous, right? They could have given more of a lead. They could have given people more time to move out or to plan their release dates otherwise. But ultimately, I don't know if it actually affected anything. And they did release on the week, the only week in the year that would have affected the least amount of other games that was coming out. Could people have not chosen to launch there and gotten out of the way before a month ahead of time? Yes, absolutely. If it was a different week. But if they were going to drop it pretty quickly, that was the week to do it of all of them. So I don't know that I don't know that I have any specific point other than just to say everybody should go read that How to Market a Game article, whether you're interested in the Silksong discussion or not, just because it like talks about how you can plan as much as you want, but ultimately there's going to be 50 games releasing that day, and you're going to be competing against all of them. So you have to make your standout mark no matter what. Silksong is, of course, the game that broke so many records as far as wish listing and everything else. But did it matter? I guess. Now, GTA 6 is going to be a similar conversation. They have announced that release date way ahead of time. I would imagine nobody releases during that time. And if you're like the one or two developers who choose to release your game while GTA, like the week GTA comes out, you might actually do pretty well because nobody else is going to release that week. So something to think about. I don't know. Again, I don't have a point, and I do agree it was probably a little bit callous, but I don't think it, by and large, affected most people, unless those other people were like similar Metroidvania type games. If people were going to play Hell Is Us, it wasn't directly competing with them as far as market share goes. But that's my very Ben works in indie dev publishing perspective at this point. I might be way different if I were a developer who had my game coming out the same day. Right. It would feel way worse than it probably actually was.
Right.
So. Anything else, boys? On that?
No.
Let's get in to what we have been playing. I don't have a thing for it, so we're just going to talk about it. Brandon, let's start with you because you have the game that's the least similar to these.
So I beat Resident Evil 6.
Wow.
What an accomplishment. That was not sarcastic. That was genuine.
That's good. Ye of little faith. Merely 4 months ago, I was being clowned on this very podcast, this very stage, for not even beginning any of my challenges. And here I am now, with 3 months to spare. Wait,
Are you done?
that was my last one. I had to complete 6.
damn.
I got affiliate. I've already purchased all my vintage games, and I had to complete 1 through 8, and I already completed 7 and 8. I knew 6 would take the longest, so I just started 7 and 8 before I finished that.
Wow.
That's it. I did it. I did it, boys. There's no need to check in because guess who's done? This guy.
Dave, are you done?
No, I'm not.
Is there a chance you don't finish?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I need 10 hours in GT7, and I need to finish another indie game.
I'm really hoping you have to tell the Digital Foundry people that you called them pedophiles.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Somebody referenced that in our Discord too.
Oh no, that's deep lore.
It was Grab, I think.
But yeah, I'm done, and I gotta say, man, the Leon playthrough was fine. Chris's playthrough, and Jake and Sherry and whoever the fuck was with Chris, the middle 2 and 3, if you're going down the chart, were so awful and unbearable in every way. Leon's was fine. Ada's was actually fine. Ada's was shorter. I was a little bit worried. The beginning of Ada's has a little bit more puzzle-heavy stuff, which I'm not adverse to. I'm not with the way Resident Evil does puzzles. But I was kind of like, okay, this is a little bit refreshing. And instead of each chapter being like between an hour and an hour and a half, they were a little under an hour. I think we cleared all the chapters of this story to finish it out. So, yeah, boys, what a journey. What an absolute journey. These Resident Evil games stand out in some of the best games I've ever played in my whole life. So I'm very grateful to have went through this with y'all. But the end of something great. Until next year when I decide to play a new series.
I meant until Resident Evil 9.
True, and I still have Resident Evil games to play.
Code Veronica remake.
Dude, I wish. That's what I don't want to happen though, because now that I've done this, I would be fine if it was like RE1, right? Just because it like if that suddenly just got a remake, I'd be really happy and I'd be fine with that. But I don't want to play Zero and Veronica. A small part of me doesn't want to play it now because what'll happen is then in like 4 months it'll get announced.
Radic wants to know if you like Resident Evil more than Silent Hill.
I've never played Silent Hill. That is on my list.
So yes.
So yes, I do.
What was worse, Brandon? RE6 or RE1?
RE6 by far.
Okay. Interesting.
By a long shot. RE1 was great, but clunky. RE6 is a bad game.
No.
A very bad game.
It's a bad modern game though.
Yeah. And RE1's a great game. It's just like not updated in the way that I would like. It doesn't play like a game I want to play.
Right.
Whereas 6 plays a little bit better and is just an aggravating mess. Seriously, it's heinous. I wouldn't recommend anyone play it ever. But it's done, boys. It's in the bag. It's in the bag.
Did Sarah enjoy
congratulate
it?
you, sir.
Once again, Dave.
I said I congratulate you, sir.
Thank
There
you,
was you're right. You hath been clowned on the show once or twice. There were times when I think it was worse last year with Resident Evil or Red Dead Redemption, but there were times this year when I was like, this guy's never gonna make it. And sure enough,
Well, if he hadn't gotten that new job, where he had like full days off.
Literally, I did them all in like 3 or 4 months. But yes, Sarah did. Sarah enjoyed. That's my brother's girlfriend. That's who I did 5 and 6 with. She enjoyed 5 with me. She didn't play. She played through like 75% of it. She came in when I had already started it. I don't think she enjoyed 6. I don't think anyone could ever enjoy that game. I don't think they enjoyed making it. But yeah, it's good, man. It's good. And I don't want to foreshadow, but I keep doing like more ambitious. Like Red Dead 2 was a lot. That took a long time. I still think playing through all the Resident Evils, even with the addition of 6, which is by far like I played through 7 and 8, and it was half the amount of time it took me to play through 6. Both of those combined. I think it still was a little bit less hours than how long it took me to play Red Dead. All of them combined. But ambitious in a different way, because Red Dead's obviously a masterpiece, easy to play, really compelling. But there's some ups and downs. So I'm hoping to continue to push myself to the limit.
Are you going to platinum every Lego game next year? Is that what you're confirming live on stream?
No, dude, I can't spend that much time on my console. I can't do it.
You would love Lego games by the time you're finished so much, though.
Dude, I would not. That would actually be like waterboarding, I think.
Yeah.
I think I would rather get waterboarded with cement. I guess it's not waterboarding then. But yeah, that was
But
good.
cement boarding's a different thing. So.
Yeah, cement
not
boarding.
waterboarding.
Yeah. Cement boarding just kind of sounds like a fun new hobby. Kind of like you're like I don't know. Anyway.
Hey, we're going up to the cabin for a weekend to do some cement boarding. You want to go, man?
Hell yeah, dude! I'll bring the beers. Jerry, bring your bong. I got you, dude. It's always in the car.
Okay, so Tom is watching. There's a comment that just came in, and Tom is watching this stream from the beginning, even though we're still live, which is fine, and he'll get to this part eventually. But he says, "I'm at the start of the stream, and it's highlighted my failings. I don't just need a wife; it must be one of a different race. Damn these white British lasses forcing evening meals before 10 p.m." That's a callback to an hour ago, but we appreciate Tom when you get here. Thanks for watching.
It's
Hey,
a
Ed
cautionary
cooperated.
tale.
Yeah.
Ed, yeah, he validated me on that. So
Yeah.
Cautionary tale. But last and certainly not least,
You're not allowed to talk about it.
I love all women.
You can talk about that if you want.
Yeah. I played Borderlands 4 for
That's what
like
you're not allowed to talk about.
yeah. I played it for like a little less than an hour. I didn't really like it very much. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, Dave, what did you play this week?
I played Borderlands 4. I've got about 5 hours into it, so I think I have enough to formulate a decent first impression. And I think this is peak Borderlands in many, many ways, and it's incredibly disappointing in one very subjective way. So Borderlands 4 gunplay feels as good as it ever has. I think one of the things I appreciate it most about it, especially after having just gotten the platinum in Borderlands 3 earlier this year, is it's one map. So the game takes place in one area. It's a massive area, but I think one of the issues with Borderlands 3 and 2 to an extent was like it was all these different planets and areas, and they were all disjointed, and some were massive and some were tiny, and it was just kind of like it wasn't a good experience. There was a lot of load screens, and I know why they did it, but going to one big open area that's incredibly diverse but all seamless, I think is a great kind of move for the franchise. The main character, the main antagonist, the Timekeeper, he's cool, and I think this franchise has kind of lived in the shadow of Handsome Jack for a long time, and they seem to be finally moving away from that, in that they're not trying to replicate what Handsome Jack was. I would love if Handsome Jack came back, but I think the direction they've gone with the Timekeeper has made for a game that is narratively pretty interesting. And I don't think Borderland games have really been the kind of games that I go to for interesting story. And I'm not saying that you should play it for the story, but I do think that they have something here with kind of the new antagonist. He's pretty cool. And some of the new enemy factions they're a lot different. There were really common archetypes in the franchise for a long time, and this one really feels different from that perspective. So that's something I definitely appreciate about it. I went dark on this game. So I think the first reveal trailer was at the Game Awards back in December, and after that I didn't watch anything. So something I didn't really know was that this game appears to be in a maybe not a brand new engine, but it looks fantastic and it looks really next gen. It's not on old gen. So you can really kind of tell a difference between Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is the last Borderlands games that I played, and this one. So it really feels like a step up. So yeah, I mean, from all intents and purposes, from a gameplay perspective, it's probably some of the best that the franchise has ever offered. I know there's a lot out there about the PC performance. I've been playing on PlayStation, so I can't speak to any of that. But yeah, the one thing that is very disappointing is this game is not funny. Occasionally,
Neither were the other ones.
Okay, well, let me remind you, Ben, that Tiny Tina's Wonderlands had Andy Samberg, Wanda Sykes, and Will Arnett.
Yeah.
That game was fucking hilarious.
I did hear that. I didn't play it though. Yeah.
But it's, you'll occasionally get an enemy character who yells something funny when they dies, and that's always been a hallmark of the series. But other than that, like, no one is trying to make you laugh. And I think there was backlash after Borderlands 3 for trying too hard to be what Handsome Jack was. Like, they had, I don't know if you remember, they had the two twins that were the antagonists, and they were like content creators, like YouTubers. And they tried to kind of be very similar to what Handsome Jack was, but it just didn't work. But for me, other than those two being annoying, like, the rest of the game was really funny and enjoyable. And I get a lot of people are in your camp, Ben, where it's like it got annoying, and maybe that's why they went that direction. But like, I don't know, it's really
gone too far.
Yeah, it's. I saw someone say that it's much closer to Borderlands 1 thematically, and I get that, where Borderlands 1, like, there were some quips and stuff like that, but otherwise it was a post-apocalyptic shooter, a looter shooter with a cel-shaded graphical style. But it's just, I don't know. I was really looking forward to laughing in this game, and I have every now and then, but for the most part, it's lost a lot of its personality, and I struggle with that. So yeah, it's a mixed bag for me. Like, gameplay wise, it's peak, but comedy wise, it's really lost out. And like, if you haven't played Wonderlands, like, those three performances from Andy Samberg, Wanda fucking Sykes, and Will Arnett, going from that to this is so jarring that it's something I'm really struggling with. But otherwise, yeah, it's I bought it at full price. I'm happy I did, because it's a really good game. And I've mostly been playing with a buddy, playing multiplayer. It's fun. It's seamless. There's instanced difficulty. I don't want to go as far to say that Borderlands games have always been on the cutting edge when it comes to instance management, whatever. But loot is instance, difficulty is instance. Like, it's just such a seamless experience that it's if you like remote co-op, then it's definitely a good series to jump into. But yeah, I don't know, Ben, I think you played a bit.
Yeah, I went from, maybe by last week at the show, I was convinced I was going to play it. When did this game come out?
Friday.
It came out Friday, yeah.
Oh boy. So last week I wasn't sure, and then I bought it at full price on Steam. And at one point I did realize I had the game open for about 2.5, 3 hours and had been doing something else. But right now my Steam counter says 17 hours. So even without those 3.5 hours, I've still put a dozen hours into it easily. I'm enjoying it very much. I haven't played a Borderlands game. I don't think I played any of 3. I might have popped into it for a minute, but I haven't played 1 since 2. I played all of 1 multiple times. I played 2 once by myself, once in co-op, and really enjoyed it. I played it with a guy I used to work with. And then I just had no desire to play 3. I've never played the spinoffs. I've never played any of the DLCs for any of the games, let alone, maybe I did play one of them for Borderlands 1. But I played it years after release. So far, I'm very much enjoying it. To talk about performance first, Dave, you said it's running pretty well on your base PS5, right?
Yep.
Cool. I knew it was running well on the Pro. I didn't know how it was running on the base. So I'm running it at high. I have a 4080 Super and a great everything else too. But just to give people a baseline, I'm running everything on high, not super high or epic or whatever they call it, but on high. And I'm getting a 95% of the time I'm getting 60 frames. Occasionally I'll dip down into like the low 50s if there's a giant group of enemies all throwing explosives. But overall, like it's performing very well for me. I have everything nearly maxed out on that high setting. So I can't complain too much about performance. I did the other night change one setting and didn't wait for the shaders and tried to play it, and it was running at like 4 frames a second. So I stopped it, reloaded it. It was totally fine after that. It's been a while since I played a Borderlands game, so like I said, so I'm very much enjoying the repetition and the loot. Like there's just so much loot. It is one of the original looter shooters, so it makes sense. I'm just having a ball running around finding stuff. Dave, you mentioned the story, and you said that guy. What was his name? The main antagonist?
Timekeeper.
The Timekeeper. I have no idea who that is. I've probably seen him. I care nothing about this story at all, and I'm okay with that because that's not what Borderlands is for me. I'm sure other people enjoy the stories, but I just do not care about it at all. As a matter of fact, I skipped a lot of cutscenes at the beginning because I was like, okay, I'm just over this. I want to shoot things. I played probably about the first 8 or 9 hours ish with my buddy Jimmy, and a couple other friends here and there, and had a great time. It's a lot of fun in co-op. It seems to run about the same in the co-op, at least on the individual devices. I did note that when you're in somebody else's world, like if I start a game and invite you to it, it doesn't seem to have like that. Your map and your activities that you've done and stuff don't seem to carry over into your own game. And from what I understand, it doesn't when you do crossplay either. You can play crossplay, and there is cross progression, but if you're playing in somebody else's world, across platform, it doesn't save your progress, which is bizarre, but that's where we're at. I think the world is really beautiful. I think I've always loved the cel-shaded look to things, and I think it's done very well. I think as Dave mentioned, the enemy variety is pretty cool. I am getting a little tired of hearing the same voice lines over and over and over, and as Dave mentioned, they're not funny. There's also a couple puzzles I've had to do, like one of the story missions, I think maybe it was a side mission. You have to like go up to this box and like smack things in a certain sequence, and I couldn't figure out like what. So here's what it is. It's like smack the button, pull the lever, hit the switch, shoot the panel, and I couldn't figure out what the panel was. I kept shooting the wrong things, and as soon as you do it, they just repeat over and over and over the same exact lines. Like, oh, I thought you were smarter than that. Do it again, and just over and over and over. And it's really not fun to me when that happens, that you just hear the same thing over and over again. But it almost seems like it's overtuned to do it. So I'm wondering if it's like a bug that's in there. But either way, having a lot of fun. I think there's some work to be done on the inventory management side. Like when I get a bunch of new stuff, I want to be able to like sort it a little better. I want to be able to identify what's higher or lower in value at a glance rather than having to like scroll over every single thing. I did notice like when I'm hovering over something and I hit the hotkey to mark it as trash to like to sell it, a lot of times it marks something completely different as trash than I was holding over. But if I right click it and then scroll down to send the trash or like mark as trash, it's totally fine. So that's what I've been doing instead. But one of those things that is just a little wonky. Overall, I'm really enjoying it. I don't know how much I'll play, and I don't know that I'll do a second playthrough at least soon. But right now, I'm, like I said, probably 15, if we're being real, probably 15-ish hours in less than a week. Partially because that weekend was was part of it. And that's almost all I've played at all.
What class are you playing as?
I don't remember the names of the classes. I'm playing as the kind of goth-looking female character.
Same.
Surprise, surprise.
Void. Is it Void?
The Siren?
Siren. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
Siren. Like I said, I care nothing about the lore or the story of this world. I'm sure it's cool, but
Well, she's kind of like the mage
okay, yeah.
archetype. Yeah.
Yeah, she has a dog, like a pink dog that comes around. Oh, he changes colors actually. Well, he's awesome too. Like I'll just be like running around to like the next point on the map, or riding my bike, and he'll stay behind, and I'll just get like marks that I'm killing things because he's just ripping stuff apart. It's kind of cool.
The classes are always really kind of cool and interesting. I'm playing as Amon, and so he's the big dude, and basically when I use my ults, all of my shields and my health completely regenerates. All of my melees are buffed, so you kind of just go into tank mode instantly, and you can like fly across the map and punch people with fire.
That's cool.
It's pretty crazy. But,
yeah. I'm sure I'll give the other ones a shot. I don't know about a full playthrough yet, but hey, who knows? I'm having a lot of fun. The one thing I noticed is that other people who have been playing about as long as me, and I've like died like, I don't know, a couple times at most, and not even like fully died, just like gone down. I'm playing on normal difficulty. But the other thing I've noticed that people who have played about the same amount of hours as me are way further, because I just getting caught up in everything that's not the main story, which I'm okay with, but I know that tends to tire me out with games, and I end up losing interest. So I'm going to try not to do that here.
For a Borderlands game, and this goes back to the map design and the simplicity. If they've made kind of the distractions and map clearing so much more easy.
Yeah.
One of the other things that they added that I think is really cool. It's not something I'm really super interested in, but I know a lot of the streamers and endgame people. One of the big things with Borderlands or any looter shooter is grinding for the exotics and legendaries. Yeah. So what you can do now is you can instantly respawn bosses. Yep. So you can just continuously try and grind them for those drops. Whereas before you had to quit out, load a save. I'd watch streamers and I would leave their streams because I got so sick of watching. But now that you can instantly respawn any boss, I think it's just a really cool kind of addition, and it shows that they were paying attention to how people were playing their game. But yeah, Randy knows, Yeah. He smells real good too.
He smells real good. And that's it. That's the show.
You're not going to talk about Destiny Rising?
Oh, I have been continuing to play Destiny Rising. I definitely I didn't play it at all since Borderlands has been out. That's not true. Sunday when I was watching football, I sat on my couch and played it, like in commercial breaks and stuff, because it's so nice to just pick up and put down. It's really great. I'm shocked at how much I'm enjoying it. It is basically Destiny on mobile with way more microtransactions. I'm okay with that because I'm not spending all that money. I'm having a good time. I don't know what else to say to you people. Quit bothering me about it.
Are you a game sir yet?
No, I haven't gotten one yet. The reason I was literally going to order one, and then my buddy sent me a message and was like, "This looks cool," and it was a controller that like snaps onto the back of your phone but hides, and then you can just like slide up your phone and it all pops out right there. It's coming out in October, so I'm gonna see how much that is first, and then decide.
I heard Brandon's been using the one that his dad gifted him for free so much, so it's too bad you couldn't grab that one.
I haven't even got it yet.
His dad was too busy cooking tomato soup.
Yeah.
True.
All right, boys. That's it for the show. Oh, wait. So is Borderlands 4 finally the Destiny 2 killer? Destiny 2 killed itself. Sorry. It's just what happened.
It died of old age.
No. It was getting old, and then it was like, what if I stab myself multiple times? Brandon, what's up? Are you okay? Your eyes are like...
I was rubbing my eyes. My allergies been going crazy, dog.
I understand that for sure. Yeah. All right, everybody. I don't know how to end the show with this new streaming setup, so we're going to do the best we can. Appreciate everybody being here. Have a good night.
Bye.
I think that did it.